MLR Conference Finals, folks. I haven't looked at any MLR for quite some time, I gotta say. But Nonu was playing this weekend over in the States. He's still going. He's one of the few rugby players still active who's older than me, so I gotta keep an interest in a man who's, done it all. Still playing his trade over in San Diego. There were the two conference finals, the two top teams in the league. New England played DC. I mean, New England were 14-2 in their season, and then San Diego with an even better record of 15-1. They played their game against Seattle. So both of the conference finals went to the favourites. We'll go through the key events pretty quickly, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously, next week is the big final. That's San Diego against New England in Chicago. Potentially Nonu's last game. Who knows? That guy is going to keep going, isn't he? But it's been a wee while, like I said, since I've had a look at any MLR, but it was good to catch up on both of the games. Monday for me, Saturday, Sunday for the people over in the States. The first one with the Freejacks at home in their game. It looks like it was a sellout crowd, which was pretty pleasing. And, they made their presence felt, which was nice. And, ultimately the Freejacks got things underway pretty nicely. They got their first try on 4 minutes. Milan went over second phase after a line-out, so seemed pretty well planned to me, 7 points to nil. It looked like they had another one a few minutes later through Johnston, the number 7, from a scrum move, but they did find that there was a forward pass in the build-up to that, so a little bit of a reprieve for the DC guys, but it didn't matter because Quattrin got one a few minutes later anyway. And, that was like on, 12 minutes? So it was a very, very slight reprieve from a maul 5 metres out. What are you going to do? It's 12-0, and then a penalty makes it 15-0 on 18 minutes, which is the score that it goes into the hydration break, which I had forgotten about in the MLR. And then it was the same score for a long time until there was a penalty, which made it 18-0. So, the scoreboard kind of started with a bit of a hiss and a roar and then slowed down a wee bit. So 18-0 though at halftime is a pretty substantial lead. It's hard to see the DC guys coming back into it. At 63 minutes, I wrote, it's game over because Filimone, he went over for a try from turnover ball. We chip and chase. And, like I said, it did look like at 25-0, DC were pretty much no chance. They did get a consolation try with former Juarez man Diaz Bonilla putting a weak cross kick through to Palamo on 72 minutes, so they didn't get nilled. But it's still a wee bit of a hiding. New England, I think, a little bit uncharacteristic with some line-out errors from what the commentators were saying. They were maybe a little bit rusty. DC had some chances. I mean, Baker at one point had a wee break down the right, but couldn't find his man with that final pass. So, disappointing from DC, but ultimately one of the top teams in the comp makes the final, which is kind of fitting. In the other game, Nonu's team, the San Diego Legion, 32-10. If you wanted to see Nonu kick a drop goal, this is the game to see it, because he kicked one pretty early on, and plus a penalty gave the San Diego boys a 6-0 lead early. Nonu did a lot of kicking in this game, not from the tee, but from hand. So a drop goal plus a bunch of kicks through. That seems to be part of his kind of ever-evolving repertoire. But, I mean, the first try, it took until 26 minutes, so very much a kind of more tentative start than the first game. Piff Valetti, though, the loose head prop for San Diego, goodness me. He starts it off with a big old line break. Yes, a line break. And then he finishes it off with a good support run to get the first try of the match, like I said, on 26 minutes. So 13-0 to the San Diego boys early. Seattle did manage to get a penalty before halftime to make it 13-3. And with the amount of ball they've had, to be honest, Seattle with 3 points on the board, 10-point deficit, not actually looking that bad. And they did have some chances in the second half. I feel like they'll look back at the tape and be pretty hard on themselves for a reason, man, because how many lineouts did they have chances? Like 5 meters out. Early on in the second half, they mucked it up. 52 minutes, they had another chance 5 meters out, stolen again. And then a few minutes after they lose that line out, Awake gets a try for San Diego. So it's almost like a 14-point swing because, they went from a chance to score 7 to conceding 7. So, Braki with the line break, offload, And then Owake finishes in the corner, so 20 points to 3. And then on 62 minutes, there was a bizarre try. Again, it's Seattle on attack, turnover ball, and the next minute Braki's going over for a try. It did look like he was very marginally in front of the kicker because it was turnover ball, and the Legion guys hacked it through. Braki, though, they said his front foot, whilst in front of the kicker, was in the air, so it was his back foot that counts. That was onside, so he is ruled onside. It's one of those real kind of flip of a coin ones. That makes it 27-3 and probably game, although San Diego copped a yellow card on defense, which did open the door for Seattle, who scored a try through Landry pretty much immediately after the card. So you think it's 17-point deficit maybe, but then immediately from the restart, Owake gets another try. Literally catches the restart from San Diego. So Seattle can't catch their own restart. They're asking for big trouble. So Teo with the kickoff. Owake takes it, and man, that makes it 32-10. Well and truly game over. So in the rugby championship, which starts next week as well, in the MLR, the final for the Chicago, for the game hosted in Chicago next week, you've got the two top teams, which is pretty pleasing. And it's free to air, folks. If you guys want to watch it, it's on the Rugby Network, which is an app and a website. So the Rugby Network, check it out. Not sponsored, but if you want to watch Nonu playing some rugby, there you go. Check him out. You guys let us know your thoughts on the games, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.